Hello, I know it's been a while that I made a video. Uh, I the reason that um, I have not made one is because I am trying to watch a whole bunch of videos about Israel and Palestine, basically doing a bunch of research, and one of them is watching over 20 hours of proceedings by different international. It's by the international court, the UN. It's like I forget. I keep forgetting what's the actual name of it, but the point of it was for different countries to come in and give their opinion over the situation of Palestine. Well, I am not going to make any analysis on that subject just yet until I finish watching it. And I also watched a whole bunch of I did a whole bunch of other research about the conflict and what the different people are saying, what is happening, and all that. So at some point I will be making an in-depth analysis on that subject. But today, what I would like to discuss is something that happened with capitalism, or more specifically, Game Workshop. This recently they did something. They retconned their lore. So if you don't know who is Game Workshop, it is a British company where they sell tabletop minis, and also they create a whole bunch of lore about their universe that surrounds their minis. And this company has been going for about, I would say, 40 years, something like that. It was from the 80s when this whole thing started. And recently they changed one of the lores, which is also known as retcon. Something that it was previously stated, and they're changing it to be something new. And this specific change, it is about female custodies. So I will give you a little bit of background of this world. You're living, this universe takes place in 40,000 years in the future, where the humanity become an intergalactic empire. There's a whole bunch of different alien races. It's a grim, dark scenario. It's like no one is truly the victor, and everyone is doing very, very poor. It's like no one is actually happy. Let's put it that way. One of the things that in the lore they talk about is genetic modification, where certain characters become super soldiers. One of them are the Space Marines, and also there are custodies. The Space Marines is they're essentially the elite, the special forces to help to save humanity. Like if it was described that they were described as the emperor's angel. Now, who's an emperor? Is the ruler of humanity. He's the one, is the head macho. He's the most powerful human being in the whole existence. And then you have the custodies, like and a regular space marines. They're able to accomplish feats that is beyond human comprehension. We are talking about they're able to sprint up to 100 kilometers an hour. They can move so quickly that a regular human being is at a naked eye is going to be like a blur to them. They are able to, they're so strong that they're able to crush skulls with their bare hands. So they're extremely powerful. And yet, custodies, they're even more powerful than a space marine. It is described that the custodies are like what the to the space marine what the humans are like, what the space marines are to humans. So basically, the same way that regular human beings are not able to sense, they're able to really see what the space marine is able to do. Custodies, it is the same. It is the same thing for a space marine to what it is to custodians. That they are that much more powerful. And of course, they were all created by the Emperor of mankind. Now, of course, there's more, like more space marines than there are custodians. Like it is the universe. The scale is beyond imagining. It is said that there's billions upon billions of human that exist on trillions upon trillions of worlds, where the Imperium, basically the empire of humanity, they lose worlds, they regain worlds, and there are countless human beings out there. And of course, GWs are not exactly good with their numbers. They say something. They say there's about 1 million space marine for the entire galaxies. Well, there's countless billions for human, and at the same time, there's only 10,000 custodies. However, custodians are so powerful in this universe that okay, so as I was saying, the one custodies is so powerful that one of them is it is as if there's an entire squad of spacemen. They're like they're described as if they're heroes, and they're able to effortlessly win battle because they're so bloody powerful. It is in lore. It said that if a custodian is dispatched to a certain world or a certain battle, they already written in records that the battle is won. That's how powerful these guys are. So, just a little background. And then there's also and there's like two other groups that's going to be important to this discussion. Is the Sister of Battles and the Sister of Silence. So the Sister of Battle they're essentially a religious monk. They're religious sisters, sorry. They're nuns with guns and power armor, and they're able to produce miracles because there are because of their faith in the emperor, and in this universe that has been talk about how faith, the more faith that someone has, there's actually miracle happens. Like in a D&D terms, is your healer class. Their faith in a divine being allows them to do things. Now, the next topic is the Sister of Silence. The Sister of Silence, it is those about this, and a lot of time the Sister of Battles are they get equivalated. They say they're equivalent than the Space Marines. At the same time, they also said that Sister of Battles are the equivalent of the Space Marine, and the Sister of Silence are the equivalent to the Custodies. But the thing about the Space Marine, one major difference between a Custody and a Space Marine is that a Custody, it is modified at a molecular level, while a Space Marine is modified at a genetic level. Basically, they will put extra organ in a person's body, like an extra lung, an extra heart. They do a slap job on a person, while a Custodies, they're basically made to be the perfection of humanity. In terms of, let's say, like on a scale of, let's say, if you play an RPG game, like let's say Elden Ring, like all Dark Souls games. That's an example I like to use. You have different stats like int, wisdom, strength, dexterity, faith. You have con. You have a whole list of different stats. A Custodies has all those stats max. A Space Marine, they're going to be on average, they probably have on 50 to all those stats, and they might have one specialty to be higher than another. Like let's say, if we talk about the Space Wolves, a close combat Space Marine, where they're basically the Vikings. They love using claws, they love axes, they love melee. So they might, in terms of gameplay in the Elden Ring, they might have a higher stats in dexterity or strength, that kind of thing. Anyways, you get the point. But the Custodies, again, to reference the point, they are maxed out in every aspect. A Sister of Battle, they're regular human, but they're able to compete with Space Marine because of their faith, granting them miracles power and give them more strength, that kind of thing. They're very fanatic. The Sister of Battles, what's there unique about them? The Sister of Battle, there are about the they're supposed to be the complementary to the Custodies, the Sister of Silence. In this universe, there's something called Psychers. And Psychers, the best way to describe it, is your mages. But one thing about this universe is something called the warp, and every single person is gets sucked in. Every person, like there's a warp. It's also called the immunitarium. It is the realm of souls, emotions. Like it's it is literally like if a person is every feelings, thought, everything that a person can ever be is all connected to the warp, and also every person, a soul, is connected to the warp. And if a person's died, it goes into the warp, and it can be reincarnated depending on certain circumstances. So, the point is, the warp is very integrated with every single human, every single living being in the universe. They're interconnected. What is special about the Sister of Silence is they're what is called a null. They are blanks, meaning they have no soul. And as a result, when psychers draw their power from the warp, as a result, these blanks literally makes people they get negative reaction. They are literally they counter. It allows them to be countering the psychers, and it makes a lot of people feels really uneasy around them, and they are really often mistreated. But that is their main power. And the Sister of Silence is the main group that is able to, and they get trained. They never talk about. That's what they call a sister. That's what it says. Their Sister of Silence. It is always a brother of a sister. Like there's always sister. There are always women in that group. That's an established lore. So where I'm going, so the past 18 minutes, all I did was giving you the background. So where am I going with this? Well, I wanted to establish the in-game universe to kind of like understand this. And another important thing, there's a group called the Inquisition. The Inquisition is another group in the Imperium who is able to do things on behalf of the Emperor. They're able to get all kinds of resources. They're an extremely powerful organization. They can get any weapons, anything under their command. They can literally exterminate entire planets, and by and large, they're not supervised by other people. They are like, if you really think about it, best analogy would be the CIA. That's who they are. One of the things that they like to do is that they like to change records. They will redact things that classify information, and as such, there's a lot of things that are contradictory in the lore. Let's put it that way. Because things are redacted, we have misinformation. We don't know what happened to certain events. That kind of thing. So where am I going to with this? And of course I'm going to make it into politics in some way or another. Because it is the background. I needed to accept the background. Recently, GW decided to make female Custodies. And they release in a new codex. Basically, there are books, gameplay blocks for people to use in order to play the table minis, and also they can put lore into it. And the lore is very, very spread out. That's one thing about GW is everything is canon. Whether it's a video game, whether it's in a book, whether in a codex, whether there's like this magazine, whether the tweet, literally anything and everything is canon. So, and that's gonna be some big problem. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. As I said, they made it female custodies. There's a huge uproar in the community. Of course, you have the fascist, like Ark, who's losing his mind about female custodies. And there was people like him who were saying, "Oh, it's going woke. Oh, we have, or GW is going woke. It's ruining the franchise because it's going woke." Meanwhile, him being a fascist, it is not surprising that he hates it. And a lot of incels are like that. A lot of it in this universe is literally progressive. A lot of it is a satire. The Imperial of Man is about U.S. imperialism, or the British imperialism. It's literally critiquing fascism. They're critiquing so many different things. Like the Emperor of Mankind, the strongest psychopath ever, the strongest, best, and basically he's like a god. That's how powerful that this man is. Now, of course, there's something happened to him. I'm not going to go into the lore, but anyways, the point is, this entire franchise is a satire. And there is a lot of people who hates it because they don't like female empowerment. They don't like how there is things that there cannot be they don't like how certain days are going on. Well, guess what? You guys who is losing their mind over females custodies, I don't see how you guys are having a really big issue over things like major retcons about Necron's lore. Where before the major retcon, the Necron won the War of Heaven. This is a major event in the lore. For those who doesn't know, this is a major event in the, that happens like 60 million years in the past, and this kind of things. The Necrons won the war. However, the new lore states they lost. That's a major change. I don't really see people really complaining about that. Also, there's a little while people was complaining about the retcon about Abaddon winning the the 13th Black Crusade actually have a win at the 13th Black Crusade because they're talking about it as a retcon of what they did and all that. And it's all of a sudden, and a lot of people lost their mind over it. But you know what I'm not seeing? Is people threatening to boycott GW. I don't see people doing that kind of things during that time. But they're threatening to boycott GW over a minor change in the lore. Just a minor change. And if we really think about it, what does it actually change in general? Nada. But they're going to say, but what about, but it's always, but the custodians was always referred as the Brotherhood. The custodian brotherhood. Or there was like this one little point that was made in a previous codex back of the 8th edition, which was like a decade ago, where it was stated that the sons of nobles were getting into the custodies. Or that's where they get the new recruit, the sons of nobles. I want to point something out. That's not entirely accurate. You're trying to pull this passage, and I want to point. And I want to play our language in a moment, but I want to point something out that we literally have lores that where custodies came from nothing. During when the emperor, like, if I remember correctly, the Valdor literally came from poverty. But there are custodies that showed courage during the Unification War. Basically, that's something that took place before the establishment of the Imperium of Man, where regular people, showed enough courage. They were taken to be made into custodies. Custodies does not have to be from nobility. And this is one of the things about contradiction within the lore. Now, let's talk about language. Sons of nobles. You know, often we use male or things like brotherhood. We use the male terms for certain things. When we say man, a lot of times we also think it is a group of people, men and women will be part of that group. But we're also referring only as men. Brotherhood. Another game I like to play is called Fallout. In that universe, there's something called the Brotherhood of Steel. You know what you can find in the Brotherhood of Steel, even though it has the name Brotherhood? Women that are part of the organization. Why am I calling these people fascists? Why I'm calling them out? Like people who doesn't like the law change. Fascists always hates on women. Fascism wants to maintain the status quo. They don't like change, and of course they actually want to support capitalism and all that. But one major component about fascism, they hate women and the LGBTQ. They hate it. They despise it. And we see Hitler and Mussolini doing the exact same stuff during their reign. Grow up. They exist. Stop being stop being all hurt. And I always thought that conservatives, because going back to more of my critique that I have towards conservatives, conservatives always talks about how facts don't care about feelings. The left is all about emotion. You guys are losing your mind over a fictional character that would not change a single thing. You're losing it. And you want to say that the left is only emotional? That's hypocrisy at play. Now, and I was watching a video about from Major Kill, and one thing he talked and he's talking about his take about the female custodies, and yes, the way that she was portrayed in the text, in the codex, literally looks like what a custodian would do. Like the way she acted is what a normal custodian will act. On top of that, as he stated, is lore-wise, it's been remain ambiguous. It was never been settled that only the men can be custodies. And as I really talked about earlier about the sons of nobles, brotherhood, those kind of things can be language can mean different things depending on